It's time for you to take a seat. It's time for you to sit down for this cool triple Thoron backline. And starting with this video, we're going to go over the citrine version of this, or at least a citrine version of this build. All right, so the idea here is I wanted to create low investment builds that have high impact on your team while consuming little to no resources, but also making your backline units useful. All right, so what's a backline unit? So a backline unit is a unit that's not meant to be getting hit, that's supposed to be behind your frontline units, meaning units that can tank hits, that kind of like lead the charge and body block and tank hits. And they are typically staff bots, utilities, chain guarders, and so on. Or in some cases, Thoron bots. So Thoron bots are units that just spam Thoron, and they go for crits. They also can debuff or just go for straight up damage. And they also have staff botting capabilities, so they're very flexible. So worst case scenario, they're just a constant source of extra like chip damage. But best case scenario, they're an extra source of chip damage that can stack each other's damage to get kills, and also heal, warp, obstruct, do whatever like staff botting you need. So this citrine build, it costs 3000 SP, which is on the higher side to some degree, but not really, because if you're running citrine throughout an entire playthrough and she has an emblem ring on the whole time, she's probably going to have 3000 SP even without the well. But magic plus 2 costs 1000 SP, so that gets you plus 2 damage. And then bravery / gentility costs 2000 SP. Now you could just run magic plus 2 and then like canter, or magic plus 2 and then like draconic hex. Canter is definitely cheaper, so if you're not running the well, that's an option. But she's running Celica because Celica gives damage increase. You can also do this. You can echo. So look at this. I have crit chance here. So this Thoron, this particular Thoron, has Lin for hit increase and crit increase. So we can actually roll for individual crits. Now this drastically increases the odds that you do land a crit, and also allows you to chip damage multiple things. And if you have a bunch of dual assists, so here's a crit. So this build is pretty good because it takes, you know, pretty lowly contested resources, and you know, you can run it on Gregory or Citrine because they both have high magic, and allows you to convert that into kills on a staff bot. This unit's a staff bot. This is not one of my hard carries. So all right, so there's one of the builds. The next build is a Micaiah Hortensia Sage. So Hortensia doesn't have the highest magic, but she does have staff range plus 1, so she's more like staff bot oriented, but can also contribute by attacking with Thoron. In this case, she has Byleth engraving. It doesn't matter if she has Byleth or Lin, she can have either. All of these engravings that are used increase hit rate and crit rate. So if we get a crit, great, we get a kill. If not, we just set up a kill for another ally. And in her case, she also has Draconic Hex, and I just gave her Micaiah so that she can super warp, you know, like team warp as you do with Micaiah. She also has Canter for repositioning, so she can get in and out. She can go at the max range of Thoron, poke an enemy, debuff it, and then escape. So Canter, it's pretty great with these types of builds. And then for the final build, we have a Saline. Saline is nice because of her passive, which gives all allies within 2 spaces plus 50% HP when using recovery items. So Elixir goes from healing from 30 to 45. Vulneraries go from 15 to I think 22. So pretty huge increase in self-healing. That's just by existing. Now she also can run Corrin in this case with Thoron, so she can snap freeze. So if she engages, she can freeze in a plus shape at range and then canter out, which is very useful for delaying enemies and holding them still. And of course, she can also clean up damage, like clean up a kill here. And also Erica engraving gives you crit, so she has a chance to crit. So for example, if she wants to kill this, she could, or she could go for a crit. So 25% crit rate is pretty good here. You know, 1 in 4 of these will kill. So if you open every single turn with having your Thorons roll for crits, you're going to be getting free kills on the average just by running them, and you don't have to dump like tons of forges or, you know, tons of resources in terms of like SP books or anything like that, or stat boosters. So between these 3 Thorons, and she got a crit as well. Between those 3 Thorons though, they got 2 kills. They average 1.5 to 2 kills per turn, They consume very little SP. So they don't need well books. They don't need a ton of resources for forges. They can staff bot using whatever staves you need, whether that be heals, warps, obstructs, freezes, silences, rescues, and so on. And they're pretty flexible on which emblems they can run, and they can either be put on bond rings, or they can just run whatever you want them to. So I would put them on like magic plus 1 to 2 bond rings, or whatever emblems are left over. So these are the builds. This is like a damage-oriented one. Now you could drop either one of these for Canter. So if you want to do Magic plus 2 in Canter, that's 2k total SP. That's the lowest investment you can get, because she'll easily have 2k SP by the time you get Sigurd back. Or if you want to get her Canter early, or if you want to get her Magic plus 2 early. She can also get Canter early because she gets Sigurd before you lose him. So she can actually have it throughout the entire game, which is pretty nice. Same thing with Saline. Both of these can get Canter early. And it's not that hard to get them 1k SP, especially if you well them, which is totally optional, but you know, you don't have to do that. And then for Hortensia, she's nice because she has staff range plus 1, and that actually increases the warp range in addition to Micaiah increasing warp range, and it also increases her passive warp and rescue range as well as her passive heal range. So she's definitely like one of the better staff bots of all the staff bots in the game. However, if you throw her on Sage, she gets like enough magic where it's respectable. She deals damage. It's not going to be as big as like Citrine's, but she does have that extra utility, so I feel like she's best on this. Now if you want to just run her on Sleipnir, that's totally fine, and have someone else be a Thoron debuffer, but putting her on Thoron debuffer is pretty powerful. So let's just go back. So we know she has a crit, so we can actually change her target so she can get a kill. And she can also freeze too, so like this is the nice thing about this build. So you can get a kill.
It's tea time!
It's tea time. You can get a kill and then AoE freeze. Which is, oh yeah, and then you Canter. This type of, like this combo is exceptionally useful. Like the Echo, Thoron crits are nice. The crit kill, you know, freeze, even if you don't crit, the freeze is nice. And then of course the warp range and all this, you know, AoE heal, AoE debuff enemies with like fracture, freeze, or something like that is pretty nice.
All right.
So just with these units, we were able to kill like 3.
I had to stop you.
And here's like an actual combat unit rolling up. So the Thorons were able to kill 3 enemies, which is, we'll kill like 2 and then set up a 3rd kill. But they generally will kill 1 to 2 things a turn if they all Thoron, or if just 2 of them Thoron. So for example, let's say we do something like this, like she uses like Fire Breath. Say there's like a group of enemies. She uses that for that turn. Then we just do like 2 attacks. Just to like clean up a kill. The debuff helps too, especially for bosses. So having like 2 units with debuff, or even just for like debuffing fast enemies so that other units can set those up and kill them. Alright, so she's 1 damage shy here. There she goes, she crits. I think I didn't switch Bravery over, that's why. Yeah, I didn't switch it over, so it's still in Gentility mode. But yeah, this is generally the use case. You get utility units that deal damage. They can staff bot. You shouldn't let them get hit because all mysticals die pretty quickly. So that's why a lot of them have Canter. So I would say if you're going to always run one of the passes, make sure all of them have Canter. I was going for a damage one on this for fun, but with good positioning, you don't need Canter. The rest of your team can clean up. But you can open up turns with like 1 to 2 kills from your Thorons, and the rest of your team goes nuts, kills the rest of everything. So yeah, that's it for this one. I think this is like the best like backline in general. It's definitely better than like Longbow debuff because Thoron just has better base damage, and magic seems to be more consistently good than like something like Longbow. Now there are some units that could do that, and I could make a follow-up video on that. But yeah, that's it for this one. Definitely like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.